Keegan, obviously Phoenix jumps out to a big lead early there, and you guys kind of aren't able to recover. What do you think about what went wrong in there and how much that sort of set the tone for the rest of the game?
Yeah, it was the first quarter was a lot of live ball turnovers. They had a lot of offensive rebounds. I think we're creating tough shots, so we weren't trying to make ourselves get easy ones. And then obviously when you lose a quarter 14-16 or 41-16, it's hard to come back, so we just dug ourselves too big of a hole.
What was the tough thing that just wasn't working, especially in that first quarter? You guys exit no assists and didn't look like the ball was moving at all.
Yeah, it was rough. I mean, it wasn't our brand of basketball at all. I think they did a good job of staying boxes and elbows and taking away the next pass. But I think the next three quarters, we started to figure it out a little bit, but it was just too late.
How much did what you guys were able to accomplish in that third quarter when you kind of closed the gap started defensively?
Yeah, I mean, defensively, I feel like we got into them a little bit, made it harder for them. I mean, we held them to 3 straight under 30 quarters. So when you look at that, you think you'd win the game, but the first quarter got us. Then the start of the fourth quarter, they went on a little bit of a run, which we need to start that quarter off a little bit better.
Keegan, Mark Williams was getting a lot of putbacks, tip-ins, going down the middle, downhill. What was going on with that as far as letting that happen?
Length. When you have a guy like that who's that big with that big of a wingspan, you got to have one person sacrifice just completely boxing him out, kind of like how he did with Gobert. But instead of, we're just trying to jump with him. So he was able to affect the game because we weren't putting a body on him. And that obviously led them have more extra opportunities.
Keegan, you mentioned the brand, your guys' brand of basketball, 19 games in. What is the identity of this basketball team?
I mean, I don't think we're showing it right now. I think you saw it more in the Minnesota and the Denver game, but we just want to try and disrupt teams, play fast, be the aggressor, have the other team be on their heels, and just keep punching them. But tonight, obviously, I think we only did that for one quarter, so that's something that in the future we got to fix.
Keegan, DeMar, after you came out the other night, DeMar talked about how you're a key to this team and that this is your team. Just kind of wondering how you process that and also the process of becoming that guy, and if that's something you're comfortable with now or feel like you'll grow into over time.
Yeah, I mean, it's just getting more comfortable in that position. Obviously, DeMar's a super good leader when it comes to that. He's a guy that you look at, and he's one of the best scorers in the league, the best clutch time players in the league. So he's talked to me a lot, just kind of being a teacher and a guide for me to step into that role. And obviously, it's going to be a process, but I know that I'm built for it.
Hey, Malik, you guys, as hard as you fought in that last game to come out and just be as flat as the team was tonight in the first quarter, how does that happen, and how disappointing was that?
I mean, I don't know how it happens, but it's not really disappointing, man. It's just hard to get wins when you're down 41-16 in the first quarter. It's almost impossible to come back and win the game. I mean, it happens sometimes, obviously, but you're probably not going to win if you start the first quarter 41-16.
Malik, y'all first 8 turnovers were 6 steals and things. What was going on with that?
They was taking the ball from us, I guess. I mean, I can't tell you what's going on. Y'all was seeing it just like I was. I guess we was just stuck in the mud tonight. Obviously, if we lose the first quarter 41-16, man, you're obviously not playing hard. So they were hitting shots. We were letting them get open shots, though, but they were knocking them down. And, yeah, it's hard to win, man, when you got a big deficit like that.
Speaking of that deficit, is it any surprise, given what maybe transpired these last 2 games, to come out and have an opening that way?
I mean, I wouldn't say it's surprising to me because that's been the story of my seasons I've been playing here. We start kind of flat sometimes, and sometimes we don't. But it's disappointing, though, for sure. Yeah, it's super disappointing, man, because obviously we know what we can do when we come out and play hard and compete every for four quarters, man. So, yeah, it's just disappointing.
Malik, when in the third quarter there, when you guys brought it back to 10, you had 8 points. Keegan had 8 points in that quarter. What was going right for you guys then, and how do you maybe replicate that with that unit?
Yeah, man, we was playing harder. I feel like we was playing way harder than we started the game. We wasn't letting them get offensive rebounds. We was getting stops and we was out. When we get stops and run, I feel like it's hard for anybody to compete with us. But one quarter ain't gonna win you the game.
You guys have had the vets, DeMar and Russ close games recently, and then midway through the fourth quarter, almost a line shift with you coming in. What's the dynamic like when you might not be used to closing a game and you're thrown into that situation? How important is it to find consistency in those scenarios?
I feel like that's a Doug question, to be honest, but it's definitely hard to get a rhythm when you're not closing the games. Then you just automatically start. You go out there and close the game. Obviously, you're not used to it. You don't know how the possession's gonna go. You don't know how important the game is. But yeah, it's kind of hard to get a rhythm when you haven't played.
Doug, you watched your team fight like crazy the other night to win a game, and then to watch that first quarter the way they came out. How disappointing was that for you?
About as disappointing as it gets. I probably should have called a timeout within the first 6 seconds with the very first turnover. Attention to detail, matching physicality, but we all got to be better, me included. I'm right here with my guys, so they'll be better. We'll be better. But when you come out and you dig yourself that type of hole, you win the rest of the game. I think it was plus 12, but you can't dig a hole like that. Not only digging a hole that way, but it's the confidence that you give another team that is just out of control. You can't give NBA players that type of confidence, just man for man. It can't happen.
Doug, you've talked about Sacramento Kings basketball all season, 19 games in. What is the identity of this basketball team?
Defend, rebound, and share the basketball. That's it. On the defensive end, we want to be physical, make them feel us. We want to compete and communicate. On the offensive end of the floor, we want to play with pace, space, and share the basketball. That's defense, offense, and an overall overarching theme. Defining that, you've seen it sporadically. It's the consistency at which we need it that will define Sacramento Kings basketball. There's a level of intensity, a level of physicality, and then there's the willingness to, be disciplined consistently out there on the floor. Guy makes a couple shots, we should go back to him. Then that guy, once he makes those shots and the defense adjusts, we should share the basketball. Like, these are the tenets of what we are about here. Is it in stone? No, it's not, but that is what it is. Yes.
Are you getting a sense from the bench that there's a little bit of pressure on them having to clean up the mistakes whenever you get off to a slow start from the starters?
We're a team, man. I was on a team with the bench mob, and they would come in, and if it was a lead, they'd take it higher. If it was, behind, they'd bring you up. That's what being a team is all about. So those, but listen, it's very difficult for them because there's an energy that goes with 41-16, and now you just dropped that energy on me, and I have to try to figure out how to do that. And that's where each other, you have to support each other at a really, really high level. More than anything, just, they put themselves in a really good place, and to come out and again, only go probably 2.5 quarters because the start of the third, but I thought the bench found a nice rhythm that started back down where we wanted to go. It's just, it's tough, man. You have to be disciplined in your approach to playing against this type of talent, and when you give them that type of confidence, it's difficult.
Doug, there in the third, obviously you guys played pretty well. There was a group in there that got you guys back to within 10. Do you kind of have like an idea? Is it like on a night-to-night basis you're kind of deciding how you want to close these games, or are you just kind of going based off how guys have been playing that game on who you want out there?
We're not at the point where we know exactly what's gonna happen. If that was the case, we wouldn't have been down 41-16. Right? Because that was about not being prepared and locked into play. When it talks about closing the game, I think you know what DeMar does, and I think that you're starting to see Keegan take a huge, giant step. He knocks down free throws, threes, puts the ball on the deck, rebounds. It's just a really lot to ask for him, and I love him and cherish him. But it's a lot to ask to say guard the best player and then go down to the other end and be that guy that goes for 30. It's a difficult ask, but he doesn't complain. He does every single thing that you ask of him. So hopefully I answered your question. It's it's going to be a night-to-night thing. It just depends on who's going. And first of all, we got to put ourselves in position to be able to close the game. Yeah.
Doug, you guys are obviously a little bit of a smaller team, but when you're seeing these opposing bigs, whether it's like Isaiah Hartenstein, Rudy Gobert, Jalen Johnson, tonight Mark Williams, what are you seeing with their impact rolling to the rim and on the offensive glass, and how you guys could clean that up?
Well, I mean, first and foremost, we have to impact the basketball. So forget about the rolling, because, people used to say MIG, like most important guy. And they would say, like, it's the guy on the rim. And I'd be like, nah, the most important guy is the guy on the damn ball. So the first thing, before you even get to the rolling and all the bigs and all that, you got to impact the basketball, because the basketball is the thing that makes everything happen. Then, as he's rolling, we've got to bring the gym over, and somebody need to hit him. I don't think he got knocked down one time tonight, unless I'm wrong. But the point is, that's making them feel us. That's defending. And listen, like, you're not going to do that every time, but the point is there has to be a level of physicality when people are just rolling. They can't roll. Be early, be aggressive. I mean, that's pretty much what you saw from them. And when our shell defense is locked in, it was in Oklahoma, has been pretty much for these last two games. These guys, they do a pretty darn good job. It's just when it gets loose and you get a little nervous that you got to go in there and do early work. You see that pick and roll coming, bigs up to the level, stab at the basketball, make that guy who's handling the basketball dribble back, hesitate, something that allows the guard to get over the screen, get back in front, and as that ball starts going downhill, somebody, as the roller is coming, somebody has to stand him up. Somebody has to hit him. And most times, I'll be honest with you, mentioned Rudy Gobert, if you just stand in the way because he ain't looking, he'll run you over. But, you got to be willing to be about that life.
Talking about the start of the game, I know Zach had, I think it was 2 of those turnovers in the very beginning of the game, and he finished with 6. What do you make of just sort of the rough stretch that he's in, particularly in comparison to, earlier in the year when he was scoring 30 points a game for a little bit for you guys?
Yeah, I mean, just from being a player, one of the things that I know is, like, you don't worry about any aspect of the game. He's a scorer. He knows how to score the basketball. I would go back and we show him any shots that he turns down. Like, you're too good of a shooter to be turning down shots, so you have to be ready to shoot the ball. But when it comes to turnovers and different things like that, you rely on fundamentals. Catch the ball with 2 hands. Use your pivot. Get the defender in a bad position. Take off, and if you don't feel comfortable with DHOing and all that type of stuff, jump, stop, and pivot again. find somebody who's open, pass with two hands. All the super little things that you think like, whatever. Those are the things, those are the ways that you get out of that. Because when you look at those type of turnovers, and we'll go back and look at the turnovers, some of them were passed with one hand, some are just nonchalant. Are they being physical? Yeah. So that means that you have to be more fundamental when people are physical, because your base about you as I'm pivoting has to be strong. I have to have two hands on the basketball. I have to be violent with my movements to make sure that I back people up off of me. So when I go back and I look at that, to your point, those would be some of the probably key tenets that I would talk to him about is, the shooting part, make or miss shots. Like, that's whatever. Like, yeah, whatever for that. But all the other aspects, the back doors, late on rotations, those are the things that help you to get out of this type of area that we're in when we talk about 41-16 or slumps or any of that type of stuff. Fundamental basketball, pure and simple. Thank you, guys. Appreciate y'all.